Mangwanani Vanave Africa, thank you for your patience and for staying with Africa Good Morning as we continue to bring you all the news happening in the African continent and beyond. As usual, you're joined by Ashwin Berry and Aina Raisa Kweho.
Happy Thursday, everyone. Today is Optimist Day. Here's a chance for you to spend a day focusing on the positive things. Whether you're a natural optimist or slightly pessimist, this day is here to inject some fun-foiled positivity in your life. And here is more on Optimist Day. Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. In our top stories, a power cable collapses at Kinshasa market and kills 26 people. At least 26 people have died after they were electrocuted by a falling power cable at the market in the Democratic Republic of Congo, says the police. The high voltage cable snapped and fell onto houses and people shopping near the capital Kinshasa on Wednesday. Unverified footage posted on social media appeared to show the aftermath of the incident with several motionless bodies in puddles of water.
Now in Nigeria, 6 in custody as police discover illegal rehabilitation center with 113 inmates. The Kano Police Command has discovered an illegal rehabilitation center with 113 inmates in the Kumbutso local government area of the state. The inmates were discovered to have been confined and locked up in a room, and some with various degrees of injuries resulting from torture. This is contained in a statement by the Command Public Relations Officer SP Abdullahi Haruna on Tuesday.
Guinea-Bissau failed coup may have been linked to drug trade. Guinea-Bissau's President Umaro Embalo survived an attempted coup on Tuesday, but said many members of the security forces had been killed repelling an attack on democracy that may have been linked to a drug trafficking. Heavy gunfire rang out near a government compound where Embalo had been chairing a cabinet meeting. The situation was unclear for several hours, during which the African Union and the West African bloc ECOWAS condemned what they called an attempted coup. Appearing in the evening in a video posted on Guinea-Bissau presidency's Facebook page, Embalo said attackers had tried to enter the compound just after the cabinet meeting but had been repelled.
In our next story, Mozambique's Storm Ana aftermath, 778 schools destroyed. Nearly 800 schools in Mozambique were destroyed by last week's tropical storm Ana, the country's education ministry said. Tents are being erected to serve as temporary classrooms for the 300,000 students and 4,700 teachers affected. This region is now bracing itself for a second storm expected to hit the region later this week. Forecasters say tropical cyclone Batirai intensified on Tuesday, with Mauritius issuing a Class 3 warning.
In our next story, 5 dead in gold mine collapse in Susedenga, Manica province. 5 miners have died after a gold mine collapsed during flooding in central Mozambique's Manica province, public radio reported on Tuesday. The accident in Susedenga district, around 170 kilometers west of the provincial capital of Beira, occurred on Monday at a mine owned by a group of small-scale self-employed miners. The head of the mine, Alfonso Muagara, blamed the victims for operating during the rainy season when mining is prohibited.
Now, South African scientists will study the link between COVID variants and untreated HIV. Leading South African scientists are set to investigate COVID-19 and HIV in tandem amid mounting evidence that the collision of the two pandemics could be generating new coronavirus variants. The team at the Network for Genomic Surveillance in South Africa, which first alerted the world to the COVID variant Omicron, said it was time for a systematic investigation of what happens when patients with untreated HIV get COVID-19. All right, that brings us to the end of our stories with Africa Good Morning. Stick around, we'll be back after the break. We learn slavery at school. We know what happened so we don't forget. We own it, reflects Ina Makosi, a Senegalese photographer who researches the impact of the slave trade in Africa on today's urban culture and youth. In this United Nations video, we follow Ina as she wanders between an historic island and Dakar's suburbs, where she meets with iconic hip-hop musicians from West Africa who act as youth influencers and guides. Have a look.
Vas-y, amène doucement le refrain.
Le hip-hop au Sénégal est très social, impliqué dans les conditions de vie des gens. Donc, c'est pas qu'une musique, c'est toute une culture. Pour moi, c'est des séquelles où c'est quelqu'un qui a pris conscience de l'esclavage, tout ça. C'est des situations ou des comportements qui se transmettent, autant de la première génération à cette nouvelle génération. Je m'appelle Ina Cham, je suis photographe et vidéaste, je suis membre de l'association Africulture Urbaine.
Donc dans l'espace où nous sommes, il n'y a pas de parce que parce que tu es chrétien ou tu es musulman, tu es black ou blanc, non, ici ça n'existe pas et ça commence par des espaces comme ça. Chacun doit se poser les bonnes questions et voir sa façon de réagir par rapport à l'autre. Découvrir l'autre et voilà, c'est ce que le hip-hop nous a appris.
Une réalité zoom sur le plus bénicap, le riche de tous les continents où trop de peuples dans ce sont des bases aucun continent. But de déshumaniser pour mieux rentabiliser, capitaliser. Il y a des génocides légalisés, des culturations planifiées.
J'ai commencé à réfléchir sur les choses autour de moi, à ouvrir mon regard autour de certaines choses. Pourquoi est-ce que je ne peux pas voyager comme des citoyens d'autres continents? Pourquoi est-ce que moi, pour voyager, ça doit être compliqué? Pourquoi est-ce que quand je vais à l'école, on m'apprend une histoire qui me fait me sentir petite par rapport à l'autre? Et aucun peuple n'a une histoire aussi violente que celle des Noirs, parce que jusqu'aujourd'hui, en 2021, il y a des parties dans le monde où tu peux aller, on va te tuer juste parce que tu es noir. Pour moi, je me dis que quand ça se passe comme ça, il y a un travail à faire à notre niveau et qu'on est obligé de le faire parce qu'on le doit à nos enfants, on le doit à nos petits-enfants et on le doit aussi à cette terre-là, à l'Afrique qui nous porte, qui nous nourrit et sur laquelle on se réalise.
The combination of African culture, history, and hip-hop is truly potent. Next up, we're going to be talking to Talent Gore in Zimbabwe as she lets us know what's happening in the House of Stone. Talent, please get straight into your stories.
Good morning, Ashwin. Good morning, Aina. How are you doing?
Please continue.
So tourists and some residents are trapped in the Manapus National Park after the recent heavy rains extensively damaged access bridges leading to the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Food and fresh water supplies have since been affected. So now they're calling for evacuation by air or by boats to evacuate the people that are trapped in that area. We're sensing that many roads and bridges were damaged by the heavy rains in that area, and there is need for rehabilitation of those infrastructures, and also find that water purification infrastructures in that area were also damaged, leaving people without fresh water. Heavy rains that were experienced this past week along the Churundu Highway was damaged, so there is no access from one place to another in that area.
All right, please get into your story about schools reopening.
So schools in Zimbabwe are set to reopen on Monday, 7 February, after having been closed for nearly 6 months. So the government, the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, actually released the revised 2022 school calendar, which will see the first term, which opens next Monday, closing on April 7. So this is the first time that the schools are opening after having been closed for nearly 6 months.
All right, okay, tell us about the cervical cancer patients who are currently facing several challenges.
Well, cervical cancer patients in Zimbabwe are currently facing challenges in accessing treatment and screening services. Zimbabwe has fewer cancer centers. We only have 2 in the whole country. The country has 2 radiotherapy centers, one at Parenyatwa, which is in Harare, and the other one is at Mpilo Central Hospital, which is in Bulawayo. So apparently at the moment, the cancer treatment machines at Mpilo have broken down, and the one that is at Parenyatwa is the only one that is functioning. So you find that everyone is being directed to Parenyatwa to access treatment and screening services.
All right, thank you very much, Talent, for bringing us the news from Zimbabwe. Sorry I didn't get to greet you properly. Makadini. All right, it seems Talent is gone. Next up, weather.
Thank you very much for choosing to start your day with us. Right now, we are going to cross over to Botswana, where Masego Mogwasa has the stories on the ground. Good morning, Masego. Please take your stories in the order that you have prepared.
Thank you. Good morning, Africa, and good morning to you in studio. First off, Botswana's JC results have been released. Botswana's JC Junior Certificate results, otherwise known as the Form 3 results, upon inquiry by Botswana Teachers Union, has blamed poor results on the pandemic and the restrictions they had on education, as well as lack of government support. The Vice President's Secondary Utsile Gondo says the double shift systems in schools opened a gap for the need of teachers who are not being effectively deployed to schools and in effect overburden already existing teachers to roll out the syllabus on time. overall performance for government schools released yesterday indicates that 83.7% of students obtained grade E or better compared to 82 in 2020, a decrease of 0.5%. And then for C or better, we have gone down also by 0.5% from 35.8 to 35.3 as compared to 2022. Moving right along, government constructs a fifth high court in Palape. This was shared by Chief Justice Terence Rannoane when officially opening the legal year in Gaborone on the 1st of February this week. Rannoane said this will assist bringing justice to people of the Central District and reducing distance that they used to travel to Francistown and Gaborone to access the High Court. Furthermore, Rannoane said a new magistrate court would be constructed in Charles Hill to assist the people of that region. At the legal opening, the Law Society Tekiso also said he appreciates that the country and the government are looking into reviewing the constitution of Botswana. Last but not least, former Zebra Celine Jelusik could be set to be reuniting with the team amid reports that the Botswana Football Association is pursuing him to take charge of the national team. He is said to be BFA President his number one choice. However, the main concern is whether or not the BFA can actually afford a foreign coach at the moment. Jelusik was a much admired among football in the country. And during the later years of a stint at Likidi, he was coaching as a development coach after he decided to step as a national team coach. Although the Zebras never quite got into an international tournament under his leadership, they did perform very well and shined very bright during his performance as coach. So Botswana are looking to have him come back if it is true that there are agreements between him and the BFA for his grand return. That's all from me from Botswana. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us on Africa Good Morning. Just now we'll be looking at your economic news stories. Before that, a short break. Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning. It's time for your economic news stories. Chinese French oil majors seal deal for Uganda mega project. Chinese and French oil giants sealed a landmark $10 billion deal on Tuesday to develop Uganda's energy resources and build a vast regional oil pipeline, a mega project that has incensed environmental groups. The so-called final investment decision was announced at a ceremony in Kampala by the heads of France's Total Energies and the China National Offshore Oil Corporation. Total Energy CEO Patrick Pouyanné said the company would commit to invest $10 billion in the Tilenga and Kingfisher projects and the 1,443-kilometer-long pipeline.
In our next story, food inflation. The culprit is primarily global development, says economist. Food inflation in South Africa is primarily caused by global developments and not domestic events. While consumers and farmers worry about the impact of heavy rains on food inflation, they also have to consider that agricultural commodity prices are already elevated, paving the way for food inflation. Higher food prices are evident in the monthly food basket survey of the Pittsburgh Economic Justice and Dignity Group for low-income consumers that shows that the price of the basket increased year on year by 349.82 cents, which is 8.6% from 4,000 in January 2021 to 4,401 in January 2022. The prices of 15 of the 17 core food in the basket increased, as well as 35 out of 44 items in the basket, with increases across the board. While middle-income consumers have started to complain about the price of tomatoes, low-income consumers have to find another 349.82 cents in their wages to pay for these increases, or just remove this nutritious food from their baskets.
In our next story, Russia wants to build factory to employ Angolan scholarship holders. The Russian government intends to build a fertilizer factory in Angola, which will contribute to national development and allow direct job market entry of Angolan scholarship holders trained in that country. The Russian ambassador to Angola, Vladimir Tararov, explained that the project is valued at $1.2 billion. He added that the factory will require a lot of energy and gas, hence the need and interest in using local gas. In the first phase, Russian engineers will ensure the functioning of the factory, but for the start of the works, construction until the inauguration, people will be selected to direct the project, among them Angolans who will have been training in Russia. The Russian government has awarded 135 scholarships, and the factory will also be able to finance the study of other young people above that number. These people, after completing their training in Russia, will be able to return and enter the factory as engineers, technicians, and staff who add training in this area, he assured.
After 3 years of work, the Tauca desalination plant is now operational. Morocco's seawater desalination capacity should soon increase. On the 27th of January, the Moroccan Minister of Agriculture, Maritime Fishing, Rural Development and Water Forest, Mohamed Sadiki, announced the commissioning of the Tauca Bahar station for this month of February 2022. The project, whose work is 98.5% complete, will improve the coverage of drinking water in the Greater Akhdiam. The desalination plant has been built since 2018 under a public-private partnership. The subsidiary of the Spanish group Abeonga will also operate and maintain the plant for a period of 20 years after its inauguration. 2 intakes in the ocean will bring the seawater to the catchment basin, from which it will be pumped after pre-treatment to the desalination plant. The desalination project also aims to secure the irrigation of 15,000 hectares in the plain of Tauca, an arid area marked by the advance of the desert, benefiting 1,500 farms.
Those have been our economic news stories. Up next, economic indicators. Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning. It's time for your sports news. Cameroon players donate AFCON knockout round bonuses to victims of Olembe Stadium stampede. The Cameroonian national team has decided to donate their knockout round bonuses. Each Cameroon player receives an equivalent of £63,000 for reaching the knockout rounds of the tournament. The team spokesperson Serge Leopold Guifo said the players have informed FA President Samuel Eto'o of their decision to donate. The Indomitable Lions asked the Cameroonian Football Federation President Samuel Eto'o that the bonus for their qualification to the last 16 at AFCON be given to the victims of the stampede. The Indomitable Lions defeated Comoros 2-1 in the round of 16 of the 2021 AFCON, but the victory was marred by the stampede. 8 supporters were killed and a further 38 were injured, 7 seriously in a crash outside the stadium's south entrance.
In our next story, Proteas women piped by West Indies in second ODI but find a silver lining to wet conditions. Proteas women stand-in skipper Son Luce says the rainy and damp weather the team has encountered since their Day 1 international series against the West Indies began may serve them well at the World Cup as they continue the final preparations for this quest of the domination in New Zealand. A month from now, the Proteas agonizingly lost the second of 4 one-day international that they are set to play against visiting West Indies. The South Africans were beaten by 6 runs during a super over tussle with the Windies. The penalty showed out that is a super over come after both sides ended their respective innings of on 160 all out. Due to rain delay, the match had been reduced to over 41.
All right, in our next story, Pakistan's Shaheen Afridi wins Cricketer of the Year award. Paceman Shaheen Afridi was named the Player of the Year by the International Cricket Council on Monday. Afridi's 78 wickets in 36 internationals across different formats secured him the Sir Garfield Sobers Trophy with best bowling figures of 6 for 51 in a test match against the West Indies. He claimed 47 wickets in only 9 tests at an impressive average of 17.06 and took 7 wickets in 6 matches during Pakistan's run to the semi-final of the 2020 World Cup. Root picked up the award for Men's Test Player of the Year after scoring 1,708 runs in 15 matches in 2021. His tally is the 3rd highest total on record in a calendar year, with only former Pakistan player Mohammad Yusuf and West Indies great Viv Richards ahead of him.
In our next story, the future looks bright for women's rugby. Namibia's senior women's rugby coach Crystal Janet has hailed the team's superb performance at the just-ended Rugby Africa Regional Women's 7 tournament held in Maseru, Lesotho, which saw Namibia finishing 2nd overall. The tournament, which served as qualifiers for the 7th Rugby World Cup as well as the Commonwealth Games, saw Zimbabwe crowned the top finisher. Speaking to New Era Sports after the tournament, the delighted Crystal Janet said she was happy with the team's overall performance, as finishing 2nd overall shows how hard they had worked as a team. She noted that almost all players in the team are new to the setup and were competing at the level for the first time, but their courage and hunger to succeed impressed. She also hailed the amount of exposure and opportunities the tournament creates for players, especially for the young ones coming through with their ranks.
Wow, indeed, I truly am also very optimistic. Next up, let's have a look at the AFCON results. All right, so Senegal got the best of Burkina Faso in a 3-1 win, which means Senegal is going to be waiting on either Cameroon or I believe Egypt so they can meet them in the final. Now, you know Senegal has a rich history in AFCON, and we know both Cameroon and Egypt will be a worthy, well, more than worthy opponent. All right, those have been our sports stories. Stick around for your headlines very soon. just as the sun is rising every single weekday, you can trust that Africa Good Morning will be rising with you as we bring you the news happening in the African continent and beyond. Now, if you perhaps missed our broadcast from 7 a.m., worry not. Here are some of the headlines. Power cable collapse at Kinshasa market kills 26. 6 in custody as police discover illegal rehabilitation center with 113 inmates. Guinea-Bissau failed coup may have been linked to drug trade. Mozambique's Storm Ana aftermath, 778 schools destroyed. 5 dead in gold mine collapse in Susundenga, Manica province, Mozambique. Cameroon players donate AFCON knockout round bonuses to victims of Olembe Stadium stampede. Chinese-French oil majors seal deal for Uganda mega project. Those have been our stories.
We thank you very much for joining us on this edition of Africa Good Morning. We do welcome your remarks regarding our show. You can email them to us. Our email is agm_2centsworth@nmh.com.na. Alternatively, we are on Facebook and Twitter, and we look forward to hearing from you. We also have a website. It's called OneUp2. Please do visit us for more content that you love to see. And on that note, please remember to get vaccinated, wear your mask, and avoid unnecessary public gatherings. We are still in the middle of a pandemic. It's all my love, all my light.
Swera Jakanaka.